From the special setting records management, we already learned how to download application files from the iMRS Prime to a USB stick. Now let's have a look what we can do with this data. Once you uploaded a file from your USB stick to either a PC or a laptop, that's what I did in this example on the screen, you can see the file here in this directory. And the first thing you can do is simply double click on it, and then the text file will open with a text editor. And you can at least read all the information concerning this particular application, which was done June 15th, 2020 at 8:03 p.m. You can see with which software version you used, the firmware version of the iMRS Prime, the serial number of the connector box, the firmware version of the connector box, and so on and so on. You can also see which applicator you were using during this application. In my case, it was a Hexagon Sphere. The serial number of the applicator, the firmware version of the applicator, and also all the application patterns, such as the duration of the application, in our case 12 minutes. The intensity level was 10, the organ clock was night. And the information brainwave and tones false means there was no brainwave and no tones activated during this application. The hexagon sense was activated, that's why it says true, and it was connected to the right side of the connector box. And the numbers below reflect the codes of the HRV recording, which we cannot do anything with it now, but I will show you in a minute how we can interpret these data. So that's just the simple text file which you can open with every text editor, and you can actually look at all the parameters which you used during this particular application. Concerning the application files downloaded from the iMRS Prime, which contains of HRV data, we decided to design the files compatible with one of the best and most acknowledged HRV evaluation softwares in the world, which is provided by a company called Kubios. The website is kubios.com. As you can see, they offer all kinds of services and software concerning HRV for scientific research, well-being and health, exercise and sports. And it is definitely the most detailed heart rate variability analysis for scientific research and professional use, used in 1,200 universities, 128 countries, and also in over 4,500 scientific publications. A pretty reliable and also medically acknowledged and certified HRV software. When we come to the products, the cool thing is Kubios offers their HRV evaluation standard program free of charge. So that's a freeware which you can download either for Windows and Mac. And this is actually the software you would need to upload iMRS Prime application files and evaluate HRV results. So let's see how this works. I already prepared to open the standard software, which we see here. Make it a little bit bigger, the screen. So let's open the same file. Then we already showed to you within the text editor with Kubios now. So I prepared the file here. It's exactly the same one. So double click on it, and then Kubios will automatically upload the file and display all the HRV data which were recorded at the initial application. HRV analysis and evaluation of the data which we have in front of us is a pretty complex and sophisticated topic. It requires a lot of education and experience, and if you feel intrigued, you may educate yourself. There's definitely a lot on the internet, a lot on YouTube, but there are also courses. They are offered by professionals how to evaluate and interpret HRV. So we highly recommend to educate yourself in case you want to get a little bit deeper into that very, very interesting and sophisticated topic. However, out of this graph here, what we can see and what I can offer you for your personal evaluation is this little graph here, where we can see it's the so-called PNS and SNS index. The blue one is the index for the parasympathetic tone, which is responsible for recovery. And below we have the sympathetic tone, which is responsible for stress. So out of this HRV data, Kubios evaluates a score, which you can see here. That's the PNS index, which was average at 0.8, the minimum was at 0.6, and the maximum was at 1.0. And also the index for the sympathetic tone, average minus 0.6, minimum minus 0.8, and the maximum minus 0.4. So those data, they don't mean anything as long as you cannot compare them. So what we offer you is, over time, when you collect many iMRS prime applications performed with Hexagon Sense, so that you have recorded HRV data from you or your patient, then you can compare those indexes and see how your progress is in terms of your parasympathetic and sympathetic response on PEMF and FIR applications. We did a little trial here, not scientifically, it was just done in a home environment, and that's actually the environment most of our clients are. So we did two applications, one without PEMF, where we just recorded the HRV of a person, and after that we put this person on our iMRS Prime system. Here are the application data on the hybrid system with this kind of patterns, with the FIR mat, with a duration of 12 minutes, intensity level 25. The organ clock was noon. There was brainwave involved with this kind of colors, so you can read everything. No tones, and there was the far infrared temperature was set to 40 degrees. So we know already this graph because it's the same what we saw on the software. Kubios interprets it in different graphs here. However, what's very interesting is if we evaluate the overall results. So after only one iMRS Prime session with the 12 minutes and FIR, PEMF and Hexagon Brain involved, the mean heart rate of the person for the trial decreased from 67 to 63. There was no significant change in the stress level index, but there was an evident impact on the parasympathetic activity, which is responsible for recovery, as the index went from -1 before to -0.75 after the application. So